a meeting between oceans, the origin of the Australian presence in Japan. When we think of Australia and Japan, we imagine two very different worlds, one full of endless beaches and wild fauna, the other an archipelago where tradition and technology embrace each other daily. However, for several decades, these two universes have been intertwining, creating a community that today forms a human bridge between both countries. By the end of 2024, Japan recorded more than 13,000 Australians living permanently in its territory. Although this may seem modest compared to the large American or Chinese communities, their cultural impact is surprisingly strong. These residents do not only share their language or customs, they bring with them a relaxed, optimistic worldview, one that loves open spaces and finds a fascinating contrast with Japanese order and structure. And in that contrast, magic happens, a community that grows not in numbers, but in influence, human connections, and its role as storytellers between two worlds. Where they live and why. The unexpected geographies of Australians in Japan. Although Tokyo is the epicenter of life for many foreigners, Australians are distributed in interesting ways. In major cities, Tokyo, Osaka, and Yokohama, they find work, connections, educational opportunities, and access to established English-speaking communities. But something unique happens within this group. Many Australians feel drawn to Japan's rural and natural regions, such as Hokkaido, Nagano, and coastal areas. Why? Because their identity is deeply connected to nature, surfing, forests, mountains, adventure. With its distinct seasons, abundant snow, and strong mountain culture, Japan becomes an unexpected paradise for those seeking balance between urban life and contact with the natural environment. Hokkaido, for example, is home to many Australians working in ski resorts, some of whom eventually become long-term residents after arriving for seasonal work. The same occurs in rural regions where they join educational programs or agricultural activities. In this way, the Australian community occupies a diverse map, reflecting both their professional interests and lifestyle choices. What draws them? The deeper reasons for settling in Japan. The motivation to move to Japan is rarely superficial. Many Australians come attracted by Japanese pop culture, anime, video games, cuisine. But what makes them stay is far more complex. Japanese discipline and work ethic. The education system, which attracts both students and teachers. A millennia-old history that contrasts with Australia's young age. Social safety and tranquility. The desire to experience a culture that is completely different, yet respectful and structured. Many arrive through the JET program or English teaching contracts, but a significant number come for business, research, international relations, or long-term study. While other countries attract through leisure, Japan captivates through lifestyle, order, efficiency, everyday beauty, rituals, and respect. Invisible but powerful networks, Australian associations, clubs, and communities. The Australian community in Japan doesn't just exist, it is organized. Through friendship societies, chambers of commerce, sports groups, and cultural associations, Australians have created spaces to maintain their roots while supporting newcomers. The National Federation of Australia-Japan Societies, NFAJs, and other organizations maintain active dialogue with Japanese cultural authorities, universities, and civic groups. In addition, digital communities, social meetup groups, surf clubs, business networks, and Australian parent associations raising bicultural children all contribute to a supportive ecosystem. These networks function as both shelter and springboard, offering emotional support, legal advice, help with paperwork, job opportunities, and a sense of family far from home. The great challenge, adapting to such a different culture. Being Australian in Japan means living in a constant cultural collision. Australian informality and closeness meet Japanese protocol. Direct humor contrasts with Eastern subtlety. The relaxed lifestyle coexists with an environment where punctuality and structure reign. Language is one of the biggest obstacles. Learning Japanese is not easy, but for many Australians it becomes a life project. Daily life in Japan brings specific challenges. Silence on public transportation, work rituals, expectations of impeccable social behavior, garbage sorting rules that vary by prefecture. Yet these challenges become sources of personal growth. Those who adapt develop a hybrid identity, neither fully Australian nor fully Japanese, but a blend that exists only in those living between two cultures. Voices connecting worlds, cultural contributions of Australians in Japan. Australia is one of the most multicultural nations in the world, and that richness travels with its citizens. In Japan, many Australians become informal cultural ambassadors, teaching English, introducing oceanic traditions, participating in artistic or educational projects, collaborating in local festivals, supporting academic exchange programs. There is also a growing movement of Australians interested in preserving traditional Japanese arts, pottery, calligraphy, kendo, aikido, or classical Japanese music. Japanese people who have lived in Australia or who study English with an Australian influence also find in this community a close reference to the oceanic nation. From this exchange arise deep friendships, mixed marriages, exchange travel, and business projects linking both worlds. Beyond individuals, the historical and diplomatic context supporting this relationship. Australia and Japan are connected not only at the human level, but institutionally, and have been for decades. Both countries maintain a strategic relationship spanning trade, politics, science, tourism, and education. Japan is one of Australia's strongest economic partners, and Australia is an essential supplier of natural resources to Japan. This partnership creates a constant flow of students, researchers, and professionals crossing the ocean each year. A cultural agreement signed in 1974 promotes exchange programs, scholarships, school cooperation, artistic exhibitions, and bilateral activities. All these elements strengthen the Australian presence in Japan and the Japanese presence in Australia, creating an ecosystem where migration and human exchange rest on solid official foundations. An extraordinary everyday life, the daily routine of an Australian in Japan. Everyday life in Japan becomes a continuous learning experience for Australians. From the first morning in a small Japanese apartment to the discovery of local customs, each day brings something new. Eating rice or miso instead of toast for breakfast. Navigating implicit social norms. Joining festivals where the entire community participates. Walking through streets where tradition and modernity collide at every corner. Practicing Japanese with neighbors, coworkers, or students. Adjusting to packed trains with millimetric precision and absolute silence. Many Australians say that living in Japan gives them a new way of seeing the world. They learn patience, appreciation for detail, respect for personal space, and a stronger sense of social awareness. It is a demanding life, yes, but also profoundly enriching. Difficulties, perceptions, and the nuances of being a foreigner. Like any foreign community, Australians face challenges beyond language. Public perception can be a double-edged sword. Mass tourism has created tensions in some Japanese cities, and although residents and tourists are not the same group, they often share stereotypes. This can complicate integration or cause misunderstandings. They also face administrative challenges. Immigration paperwork, visa renewals, workplace differences, cultural expectations within Japanese companies. However, Australians are generally well received thanks to their positive attitude, respect for rules, and willingness to integrate. And despite the difficulties, Japan remains one of the preferred destinations for Australians seeking a different and meaningful life experience. Conclusion: a living cultural bridge between two nations. The Australian presence in Japan is not just a statistic. It is a story of exchange, personal growth, and cultural connection. It is the meeting of two societies that, although geographically distant, share values of mutual respect, education, cooperation, and openness. Australians in Japan represent a small community, yet one with deep influence. They are travelers, students, artists, teachers, entrepreneurs, families, people who have found in Japan a second home and who enrich the cultural life of the country through their presence. For Japan, they're a bridge to a young, diverse, and vibrant society like Australia. For Australia, they are living proof of the importance of looking toward Asia with interest, respect, and collaboration.